The Chicago Bears have lost 3 straight games in a row. So does it end here? Stay tuned to find out what is going on. Y'all, Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Bears. And if you are a Bears fan, if you're still a Bears fan after all the pathetic recent performances they've put up, pat yourself on the back because, yeah, that's tough. But if you are, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, folks, because I do bring you the latest, greatest, and best Bears content around as well as the NFL in general. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It's the best way to support me. Make sure to go ahead and do that by hitting the red subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I drop a new video. I drop videos every single day, every single week. You're not going to want to miss out. And finally, follow me on my social media, folks. That's the best place to reach out to me, my Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. So go ahead and do that. As you can tell, I'm here to preview the Week 10 matchup between the Bears and the Vikings. And we've got a lot to get into, so let's not wait any longer. Let's get into it. So 3 straight losses. 3 straight losses. Does the bleeding stop here? Let's find out. We start with the numbers like we always do. The Bears are at home on Monday Night Football, folks. And usually I'm so hyped for Monday night games, primetime games, really. But the fact that the entire world is going to be subject to watching this Bears offense, that's a scary thought. I mean, it's enough torture for us Bears fans to watch it ourselves, right? When it's a 12 o'clock game, 1 o'clock game, right? When it's in the midst of a bunch of games and nobody pays attention, but it's on prime time and now the entire world is watching. That's a different level of pain. Yeah. So, obviously, not liking the prime time right now, but it is what it is. So it's a Monday night game for the Bears. The Bears are at home against the Minnesota Vikings, the first matchup this year against the Minnesota Vikings, and they are favored. Yep, if you thought the Bears would be favored even after 3 straight losses, you are sadly mistaken because the Vikings are favored here by 3, which is really 6 points because as the home team, you should get a default or usually get a default 3 points. So the Bears aren't even getting that. And in fact, the Vikings are favored here by 3, so that's really like 6 points. 45 over under, probably going to go under here just because the Bears offense, we know, can't move the football. So, Vikings. Let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings because obviously we've talked about the Bears and their offense ad nauseum here. Let's talk about the Vikings, all right? They're coming off of 2 straight victories, one of them very impressive against the Green Bay Packers. The other one was against the Lions, against a division rival, but obviously the Lions are not of the caliber of the Packers. They beat the Green Bay Packers, and they beat them, I'm not going to say handedly, but a little more towards convincingly, okay? And we know we have to talk about the star of the show for the Vikings the last 2 weeks. It's Dalvin Cook. This man has just not only put himself back into contention as a top 3, top 5 running back in the NFL, but he's moving his way into potential MVP conversation. I mean, let me just tell you Dalvin Cook's numbers last 2 weeks. If you had him in fantasy, in DFS, and season long, or you went up against him, man, oh man, you probably lost all the matchups you went against him, and you probably won all the matchups that you had him in, all right? Against the Packers, 30 carries for 163 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and then had 2 catches for 63 yards and a receiving touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns against the Packers, so 4 touchdowns. And then against the Lions, 22 carries for 206 yards and a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, excuse me. Could have had 3 as well, by the way. And then 2 catches for 46 yards. So Dalvin Cook, in his last 2 games, has literally gone berserk. Just disgustingly good the last 2 games. He has been the entire Vikings offense, like literally the entire offense. They don't do anything but run Dalvin Cook. And I can't blame him because nobody's been able to stop him. So, you know, usually I talk about my keys here. I mean, there's no keys that you can start with besides Dalvin Cook and stopping him. That's it. All right. So he is the entire Minnesota Vikings offense and pretty much the entire team right now for the Vikings. Okay. So stopping Dalvin Cook is going to be key here. And when I take a look at the Vikings defense, they've made some improvements, but it's still not a great defense. Last week, they were down like 3 cornerbacks, so they've been dealing with a lot of injuries themselves. 29th overall defensively, 30th against the pass, 23rd against the rush. So you know I always talk about funnels here. I mean, they're bad all over the place, but more notably through the air versus the ground, okay? So even though the Vikings, offense, or excuse me, the Vikings team has played better, it's still not showing up numbers-wise that they've improved a lot, okay? This is still not the Vikings defense of a few years ago. They're not elite by any standards, okay? They're just hot right now, okay? And the Bears are anything but that. They're cold. When I think about, the keys, like I mentioned to you, obviously stopping Dalvin Cook is going to be the number one thing. And you might be thinking I'm pretty down on the Bears stopping Dalvin Cook, but I'm really not, because we stopped Derrick Henry last week. Derrick Henry had 21 carries for 63 yards, or 68 yards, something like that. I know it was less than 70 yards, but he had a pretty poor game for his standards, and we shut down Derrick Henry. Now, unfortunately for us, our offense couldn't do a damn thing, and so we still lost that game, but that bodes well for the Bears being able to stop Dalvin Cook. And here's the thing. The Packers' run D is abysmal. Garbage, okay? The Lions' run D, also garbage. They're both trash cans, all right? Both those defenses, certainly against the run. The Bears' defense is different. The Bears' defense is elite. Now, against the run, they have not been, but I just told you last week, they showed you they can plug up the middle and stop a guy like a Derrick Henry. And I believe Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook are on similar levels, right? They're both top 5 running backs. Maybe Dalvin Cook's a little bit better of a pass catcher, but they're certainly in the same caliber. And so if you can stop Derrick Henry, I believe you can stop Dalvin Cook. So my first key of stopping Dalvin Cook, even though it's not breaking news, I think the Bears team can do it. This defense can do it, and this is by far the hardest matchup Dalvin Cook has faced recently, okay? It's not even close to what he had to go through with the Lions and the Packers defenses. Those defenses are a joke compared to the Bears defense, okay? So that's number one. Number two, offensively. Like, what are the Bears going to do offensively? Because the defense, it's there every week. It's dependable. Offensively, here's the thing, all right? We know we have lost hope in this offense. But think about it like this. Matt Nagy knows that this might be his last chance before he has to hand over play calling. And here's why. The bye week is coming up. Week 11, the Bears go on the bye week. If the Bears lose this game, then Matt Nagy has no choice, I believe, to hand over play calling. He has to do it. And he's already, by the way, come out and said, we won't know if he hands over play calling. They're not going to announce it. It's just going to happen. So, again, he said that, but I'll know if Matt Nagy's not calling the plays because we won't see any Cordell Patterson screens or 4th and 1 pitches to Cordell Patterson's on the left-hand side. You're not sneaky, Matt Nagy. I'll know when you're not calling plays. But basically, my point is he might not call plays if the Bears lose this game. Like, it might be over at that point because the Bears would fall to 5-5, and now it's a free-for-all. And so I believe Matt Nagy is going to go all out here to game plan and call his best game that he can. Like, he might not get any sleep this week because this is a must-win game, because I believe this game is going to decide the direction of the season. The bye week's coming up. You're about to go either 5-5, which means you're going down for a free-for-all, or you're about to go 6-4, which means you still have a chance to make something of yourself in the rest of the season and make the playoffs. You still got a shot. And so Matt Nagy's going to pull out all the stops. And this is not a good defense. This Vikings team is not a good defense. So I'm expecting the Bears, they can attack it whichever the way they want, but I am expecting the Bears to attack it through the pass, mainly because there's a chance David Montgomery might not suit up this week. He's in concussion protocol. It does help this game's on a Monday, so he might be cleared before the game on Monday, but there's a chance he misses, in which instance we'll have some combination of Ryan Nall, Cordell Patterson, and maybe we see Lamar Miller get active. But at this point, folks, losing David Montgomery isn't doing much because our run game is the worst in the NFL. Yes, that's right, the worst in the NFL. It's non-existent. So it's not a big loss, if you will, losing David Montgomery. It's really not, because there's no production from our run game. It's all through the air. And so I believe Matt Nagy is going to try to call his best game. Hopefully we see a lot of short passes, a lot of high completion percentage type of passes, using the middle of the field, using the tight ends. Again, anything to help make sure that this offense gets going, because this game is a statement type of must-win game for Matt Nagy. So offensively, the key is going to be to try to attack these weak corners for the Minnesota Vikings. You want to go ahead and get Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson in positions to succeed, but also attack them in the middle of the field. I mean, we saw that, Davante Adams was able to get 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, I think, on this Vikings defense. So Allen Robinson can do the same. We saw that, even a guy like a Marvin Jones was able to have success. So our receivers should be able to do whatever they want against this secondary. I just need Matt Nagy to dial up high completion percentage type of plays and make it so you are compensating for the lack of a good offensive line. We don't even know which offensive line players are going to be available. We don't know that. But I'm telling you right now, that is going to be key with our offense. As Matt Nagy's play calling, I believe he's going to bring out his best stuff. So the question really is, even if Matt Nagy brings out his best stuff, is it going to be enough? And here's my final prediction. I believe the Bears will win this game because of 2 reasons. All right, I get it. You're already laughing. You're like, Faiz, you're picking the Bears to win? Really? A hot Vikings team going up against a Bears team that's in free fall? Yes. And I'm picking the Bears to win, and here's why. By the way, I picked the Bears to lose the last 2 weeks, okay? So when I pick them to win or lose, I do it with conviction and confidence. Here's why. Dalvin Cook is the Vikings' only offense. If we stop Dalvin Cook, again, easier said than done, but if we stop Dalvin Cook, we stop Derrick Henry, we can win this game. All right? I'm not scared of Kirk Cousins. He always has bad games against us. We have the Vikings numbers. Now, I know there's no way to quantify that, but we've beaten the Vikings, obviously, a lot of times over the last couple of seasons. And so we just tend to play well against them. And division games always tend to be close, right? Division opponents know each other. That's why these games end up being close. So this will be a close game. But because our defense is the best defense Dalvin Cook has faced, we're going to be able to neutralize him. And then on offense, I believe with all the pressure mounting on Matt Nagy, we see the best game he's going to call, hopefully all season long, and we can attack this Minnesota Vikings secondary, and I believe we win a close game by a final score of 17-14. Yeah, that's low scoring as heck, but that's how much faith I have in the Bears offense right now, because I'm tired of picking them to score 20 plus points because they just can't do it. They're incapable. So I'll give them 17 points. We win a close game, nail biter against a division opponent, and we go ahead and go 6-4 into the bye week. So there you have, folks, my prediction for the Bears versus the Vikings in week 10. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.